Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today we're going to talk about Dungeons & Dragons, and we're going to talk about moving your Dungeons & Dragons table to a French Brigade, configuration. All right, and this comes from The Bear. If you are a dungeon master and you haven't seen The Bear, what are you doing? Come on, all right? The Bear is now, okay. Regular human beings can watch whatever nonsense they want. You and I can't, right? Everything that comes through our filter has to help us build worlds, right? And the reason why is there's stake for you and for me, there's stakes on Dungeons & Dragons, right? We're not like the rest of the world. We're not cutting goblins in half here. We're not having fun. We're trying to use an identity engine to explore ourselves, explore everybody at the table, and explore our culture, right? We are looking to achieve things in our life, in the lives of every player, in the lives of every dungeon performer at our table, right? We're trying to change the cultures we live in, to transform ourselves and by extension the cultures we live in, right? Just like Joe Manganiello said at DND Direct, right? Our Dungeons & Dragons has stakes, right? So we're going to take our tables to a French Brigade, exactly as explained within The Bear. Now, if you're not familiar, The Bear is an absolutely brilliant television show. It has two of the biggest rising movie stars in the world right now, right? And first of all, I didn't know this, but the star of The Bear, who also absolutely smashed it in he did such an amazing job in The Iron Claw. But the male star of the Bear, he is Gene Wilder's grandson, which it blows my mind. I'm like, what? Like, I did not know that. It's pretty astounding. And then there's Adi Abiria. I'm sure I massacred that name. I apologize. But the sous chef in The Bear, she was in Bottoms, she was in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, everything she touches. She was in like drama camp movie. She is crushing it. She's doing such a stellar job. Everything she touches turns to gold. And I don't know if you guys know this too, but like Friday Night Lights was a show that just made like 15 movie stars. And The Bear is that now. Like, The Bear is really, really phenomenal. And you got to pay attention to it. So in The Bear, the sous chef and the lead chef, okay, in French, that's in the French Brigade, it's called the chef de cuisine, but it is the lead chef. And that's what I'm going to say. I'm going to say lead chef. And the sous chef Carmy decides that he's going to take The Bear, which is a Chicago restaurant that made beef sandwiches, incredible beef sandwiches, right? And so, and made these incredible beef sandwiches. So they decide they're going to take this whole thing. They're going to transform the way they do things, and the reason why is they're gonna change the way they run their kitchen to a French brigade. Sorry, it's taking me a little while there to get there. So basically, they're gonna go to a French brigade, and the reason why is they got a C for chaos. They got a C for when their restaurant went for their health inspection, right? Which he's like, hey. And so he was able, at this point, Carmy can go to his entire team, right? The people who make the meat, the people who make the cold food, the people who make the pastries, the people who make the sauce. Carmy's entire team. Carmy is the lead chef. And he can say, hey, your system's garbage, we're changing it. He can push back on him and tell him, what you're doing isn't working. They got to see, right? Like, we need to change this, right? So he's like, we're going to a French brigade. And they're all like, and the first thing is the French brigade has a hierarchy, right? And that means I say you do, right? Lead chef is the top. And when he says something, you say, yes, chef, and you do it, period, right? Now, and actually for everybody but the sous chef. The sous chef is the second in the hierarchy, and the sous chef can push back and give ideas. And actually, and get this, every time. Okay, so let's talk about. So I'm taking my Dungeons and Dragons table to a French Brigade. I'm the chef de cuisine. I'm the dungeon master. I have one player, right, who is better than all the other players at the table, period, end of sentence, right? That's my sous, okay? Then, next is going to be my garde-manger, right? And these are hierarchy, right? That means the sous listens to me, the garde-manger listens to the sous, right? Now, the garde-manger is the person who does cold foods and deals with storage. Next is the chef, is the departee, right? And that is a chef who handles one area of the kitchen, specifically usually meat, okay? Then last is the pâtissier, and this is the pastry chef, right? So I do love these terms, these French terms, but I'll put it in English terms just so this is super clear for everyone. So just let's go through the French Brigade real quick. Chef de cuisine, chef de sous, right? Chef garde-manger, chef de partie, chef pâtissier, okay? Now, what that means is lead chef, okay? Sauce chef, cold chef, meat chef, pastry chef. And they are in that order, right? Pastry chef has to listen to the meat chef. Meat chef has to listen to the cold chef. Cold chef has to listen to the sauce chef. Sauce chefs have to listen to the lead chef, right? But when do they have to listen? They have to listen when the thing is happening. When the thing is happening. When it's serving time, right? When we're crunching. Like when we get there at 10 a.m., anybody can share ideas as much as they want. They can say whatever they want. Like at that point, the pastry chef can talk right to the lead chef, right? Do whatever they want, you know, and say what they want and give their opinions, right? But when it's serving time, when it's 5 p.m. and the restaurant is packed, you need to seal your flapping maw, right? If you're the pastry chef, and make the donuts. And you got nothing to say to nobody. And everybody does their part and does what they're expected to do. And the hierarchy is followed, right? And I'll tell you right now, I know this is going to be hated at the table, right? And it's going to be a long journey getting there. It's going to be hard even discussing we're going to a French Brigade, right? And that means this player is over you as a player. That literally is breaking with Gary Gygax. Whoa, Scott, you going to break with Gary Gygax? What are you doing? Well, I'm following the lead on the greatest designers in the world right now. And those are, you know, those are the designers for Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition right now, right? They just got rid of the D20. Are you kidding me? They're like, you don't need a D20. Go to the C22. If you don't know what the C22 is, I have videos on it, okay? That's a huge change, right? We need to make changes, right? Now you're like, wait a second, Scott. Wait a second, Scott. Dungeons and Dragons ain't like making food, right? There isn't a right way and there isn't a wrong way. Seal your flapping maw. You are wrong. You are wrong. You are wrong. Okay? The reason why we're talking about food today is let's talk about a cheese sandwich. What happens when you cook a grilled cheese? We're going to talk about a grilled cheese. Grilled cheese about the simplest thing in the world to make. Grilled cheese about the simplest thing in the world to make. I just watched a video, and they're like, you're making grilled cheese wrong. And we're like, what? What do you mean when people are making grilled cheese wrong, right? And I'm like, why are you saying people are making grilled cheese wrong, right? Well, what they said was, you make your grilled cheese, right? But then schmuck chefs just put it on the plate. And what happens is all the steam that's coming off that grilled cheese makes the bottom soggy. And now the grilled cheese is no longer crunchy, right? And fresh. It gets soggy on the bottom. Top's crispy, fresh. Bottom soggy, because all the steam just came up on the plate. And the way you avoid this is You take the plate, you put 2 chopsticks on the plate, and you put the grilled cheese on top of the chopsticks, and all the steam from the bottom of the grilled cheese, you know, dissipates. There's a right and a wrong way to make a grilled cheese, right? And Dungeons & Dragons ain't no different. There is definitely a wrong way to Dungeons & Dragons. And we have got to kill this myth that there is no wrong way to play Dungeons & Dragons. There's 1,000 wrong ways to play Dungeons & Dragons. You need to do it. You need to do it right. And exactly like it says in the bear, every second counts. When we are at the table, we are doing something that is preeminent. We are doing something that will reshape this world. Right? Right now, I'm on my way to a movie. The reason I go to movies is I'm not a schmuck. I don't watch stuff in my house where my cat paws at my leg. Right? I don't watch stuff in my house, right, where I'm going to be interrupted by my phone, because there's no rule in my phone, in my house, about nobody's going to walk in front of the screen, because the entire structure has been designed that if people walk in front of me, they're at lower levels, right? Only a schmuck watches a movie for the first time in their home on a 50-inch television. You're a schmuck if you're doing it. You don't know what you're doing. You're watching movies wrong, right? Same thing here. The new C-22, right? The new deck of many things, replacing the D20 at a cost of $100 per Dungeon Master, per Dungeon Performer, means that routinely now, Dungeon Performers are sitting at the table with $300 of tangibles there, right? And there's a 2-hour session. That 2-hour session is focused time, where every Dungeon Performer and every Dungeon Master is listening to each other. This is unheard of today. We are constantly in spaces where no one is listening to anyone, right? And the ad hoc, the default setting on life is no attention, no respect, no value. But the Dungeons & Dragons table has become a temple to focus. Exactly like the American cinema. It's a temple to focus. We give our time, we give our attention, we give our respect. And the Dungeon Master, the actual Gary Gygax's real physical table, real physical books, real physical dice, real physical deck of many things, replacing forever the D20. $300 of tangibles as the base ante to sit down at the table. This is focus and attention at a level that is unprecedented. And so we don't have time anymore for the nonsense. Carmi was like, hey, you guys have been making these sandwiches forever, but we need to take it to the next level. And if your table is going to go to the next level, you need to go to a French Brigade, and you need to install a hierarchy. Dungeon Master at the top. Sous next. Garde de manger next. Departee next. Patissier last. You have a player at your table who is last, the worst at the table, and you have one who is at best. And we need to drop a hierarchy. It's going to be hard. It's going to be difficult. Even the conversation is difficult, right? And it's going to be as difficult as, I'm going to put the link below for the amazing scene that explains all this. And how Carmi got pushed back from the moment he suggested it, right? But as Sue knew, right? And your Sue will know as well. Everybody, we're going to a French Brigade. There's going to be a hierarchy at every Dungeons & Dragons table that matters. And if you're here, if you're listening to these words, your table matters, in my humble opinion. Every single word you just heard is my humble opinion. What's important is when I get to hear your humble opinion. When you get in the comments and send your traffic, please consider liking and subscribing, and have a wonderful millennium.